Tonight we look at a nation at a crossroads. Israel, long known for its unity and determination in the face of adversity, now finds itself grappling with uncertainty and doubt. The streets of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, once bustling with confidence, now carry a heavy, contemplative silence. Israel's famed resilience is showing cracks as war fatigue sets in. The relentless pace of conflict has left its mark on both soldiers and civilians, who are visibly exhausted and emotionally drained. The unity seen at the conflict's outset is fading. Difficult questions about the war's endgame echo in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Conversations that once focused on victory now turn to uncertainty, with citizens openly debating the cost and purpose of continued fighting. Constant rocket alerts, mounting casualties, and economic strain are wearing down the public. Each new siren and every report of destruction adds to a growing sense of vulnerability and frustration. Emotional and psychological burdens are growing, fueling anxiety and doubt. Families huddle together, seeking comfort, while public spaces once filled with laughter now stand empty and silent. Prime Minister Netanyahu's government, once enjoying broad support, now faces protests from hostage families and rising skepticism about the war's goals. The pressure is mounting as more voices demand answers and accountability. Many wonder if the objectives are even achievable, or if Israel is trapped in a quagmire. The sense of purpose that once united the nation is now clouded by doubt and disagreement. Internationally, Israel's relationship with the United States is under strain, with American officials demanding restraint and a post-war plan. The once unwavering alliance now faces new tests, as Washington's patience wears thin. Israeli leaders fear that U.S. support is no longer unconditional, raising the specter of isolation. The possibility of losing their most important ally weighs heavily on decision-makers. The government is caught between domestic demands for security and international calls for accountability. Every decision is scrutinized, both at home and abroad, making the path forward even more precarious. Leaders walk a tightrope, trying to maintain morale while navigating a hostile global environment. Behind closed doors, the pressure to find solutions grows more intense with each passing day. The lack of a clear path forward is deepening fatigue and exposing fractures in national resolve. The uncertainty of what comes next hangs over the country like a shadow, affecting every aspect of daily life. This conflict is testing Israel in ways it has never been tested before. The coming days will reveal whether the nation can rediscover its unity and chart a new course, or if these cracks will widen into lasting divisions. The war's toll is measured not just in lives, but in economic shockwaves that ripple through every layer of society. The destruction is visible in shattered buildings and deserted streets, but the invisible costs are just as profound. Israel's tech sector, once a global growth engine and a source of national pride, is reeling. As thousands of skilled workers are called up as reservists, projects grind to a halt, innovation slows, and the once bustling offices now sit eerily quiet. Foreign investment, once eager, is now hesitant, with investors wary of long-term instability. The Tel Aviv Stock Exchange mirrors this national anxiety. Markets swing wildly, reacting to every military and political development, as uncertainty becomes the new normal for investors and businesses alike. Netanyahu's rhetoric about a long and difficult war rattles both domestic and international investors. The shekel weakens, borrowing costs rise, and the government faces mounting pressure to stabilize the economy. Diplomatic tensions with key allies threaten vital trade routes and partnerships, putting Israel's export-driven economy at further risk. International cooperation, once a given, is now uncertain. Israel's central bank and international agencies issue stark warnings about rising national debt and the risk of a downgraded economic outlook. The threat of a credit downgrade looms, making future recovery even more challenging. For ordinary citizens, these macroeconomic tremors translate into a higher cost of living, shrinking household budgets, and the looming possibility of cuts to essential government services. Everyday life becomes a struggle as prices rise and uncertainty grows. Economic pain is now a daily reality for many, fueling public dissatisfaction and sparking protests. The sense of frustration and anxiety is palpable on the streets. As the economy weakens, pressure mounts on political leaders. In their desperation to show progress, they may take riskier actions, moves that could further destabilize the already fragile situation. The cycle is vicious. Instability breeds economic decline, which in turn breeds more instability, trapping the nation in a downward spiral that is difficult to escape. The economic tremors are shaking Israel's foundations, threatening the stability and prosperity that generations have worked to build. Many now wonder how long the country can sustain this path without facing a generational crisis, one that could reshape Israel's future for decades to come. Beyond the immediate struggles on the battlefield and the ongoing challenges in the economy, Israel now faces a deeper, more profound crisis, one that strikes at the very heart of its legitimacy as a nation. The current conflict has not only intensified external threats, but has also amplified internal divisions, forcing a national reckoning with Israel's identity, values, and vision for the future. Many on the political left, as well as within the Arab-Israeli community, feel increasingly alienated. They question whether the war and the government's actions truly align with Israel's founding democratic and humanitarian values. Competing narratives, one emphasizing national survival, the other warning of moral compromise, are colliding in the public sphere, leaving citizens deeply divided and uncertain. The debate is no longer abstract or distant, it has become intensely personal, fracturing communities, straining friendships, and even dividing families. The political middle ground is rapidly eroding, making dialogue more difficult. Critics now accuse the government of stoking nationalism, prioritizing security over inclusivity, and ignoring urgent calls for unity and representation. As a result, a significant portion of the population feels unheard, marginalized, and unrepresented in the national conversation. This growing crisis of legitimacy threatens to undermine social cohesion, erode trust in public institutions, and destabilize the very foundations of Israeli democracy. In such a divided nation, the ability to effectively face external threats is severely compromised, as unity is essential for resilience. The central question now extends far beyond simply winning the war. It is about defining what kind of country Israel will be when the fighting finally stops, and whether it can heal these deep internal wounds. For many Israelis, the answer to that question feels more uncertain and more urgent than ever before. The war's physical toll is visible, but its psychological impact is just as severe. Thousands of reservists exposed to relentless combat return home carrying invisible wounds. Mental health experts warn of a surge in PTSD, anxiety, and depression among soldiers and their families. Many struggle to reconnect with loved ones and resume normal life. The strain extends to families, spouses managing alone, parents living in fear. Society as a whole feels the weight, with public morale wavering as the human cost mounts. The government is expanding mental health services, but the scale of the crisis is daunting. The system may be overwhelmed by the sheer number needing support. The hidden wounds of this war will linger, challenging the nation's resilience for years to come. The scars may outlast the conflict itself. Amid escalating conflict, one event stands out: the Israeli strike on Doha. Targeting a high-value figure in Qatar's capital, Israel sent a message of reach and resolve, but at immense political risk. The Arab and Islamic world responded with unified outrage, seeing the strike as an attack on a fellow Arab state. Gulf states, caught between new ties with Israel and regional solidarity, condemned the action, freezing normalization efforts. The Abraham Accords, once a diplomatic bright spot, now hang in the balance. The strike reignited old animosities and reminded the region of its volatility. Gulf leaders are rethinking their alliances, wary of being drawn into wider conflict. The Doha strike proved the war's potential to destabilize the entire region. The Doha strike accelerated a shift already underway. Gulf states turning eastward, disillusioned with Western allies, Saudi Arabia and the UAE are deepening ties with China, Russia, and even Iran. China offers investment and non-interference, appealing to leaders weary of Western criticism. Beijing's diplomatic successes, like brokering Saudi-Iran reconciliation, highlight its growing influence. Russia, through energy and military ties, provides a counterweight to U.S. power. This eastward pivot is reshaping the region, challenging the old Western-dominated order. The emerging bloc isn't a formal alliance, but it's united by a desire to reduce U.S. dependence. Israel and its American allies now face a more complex, unpredictable neighborhood. These regional shifts reflect a broader trend: the weakening of Western alliances. NATO, stretched by the war in Ukraine and internal divisions, faces questions about its reliability. U.S. credibility in the Middle East has eroded after chaotic withdrawals and inconsistent policies. Russia and China are filling the power vacuum, while America's influence wanes. The West's inability to shape outcomes in the current conflict has not gone unnoticed. Regional players see a divided, distracted West and are adjusting their strategies. For Israel, the shrinking security umbrella means greater uncertainty and risk. The old order is unraveling, forcing Israel to confront a new, more dangerous reality. As of October 10, 2025, it's clear an era is ending. Israel's reliance on military solutions has led to costly isolation, while U.S. strategies have failed to deliver peace or stability. The U.S. now struggles to adapt to a world where its leverage is diminished. Global power is shifting eastward, with China, Russia, and regional powers reshaping the landscape. Influence now depends on economic strength, diplomacy, and coalition building, not just military might. The old rules no longer apply. Israel and its Western allies must adapt or risk irrelevance. The conflict has exposed the vulnerabilities of the old order and the urgent need for a new vision. Israel stands at a crossroads, not just in war, but in defining its place in the 21st century.